This translation error cost her virginity. The device failed at the worst time. Part 1. The first voice of Earth, the Earth Embassy, towered above the clouds like a silver needle, reflecting the rising sun in its smooth, mirrored surface. Inside, the first interstellar hall buzzed with quiet activity. Humans had dreamed of this moment for centuries, the day they would speak to the galactic conquered, and today that dream was about to become reality. Lena Morales adjusted her headset nervously as she walked down the long corridor. The translation device, a slim neural interface unit, rested lightly against her temple. It was supposed to be perfect, flawless, infallible. Humanity was relying on it. And more than that, the galaxy was waiting. Lena had trained for this moment her entire life. She had memorized alien syntax, gestures, even micro-expressions. She had studied the history of first contact diplomacy. She had learned to listen not just with her ears, but with her intuition. She knew that every word mattered, that every gesture carried weight. And yet, standing at the threshold of the great chamber, her hands trembled slightly. The chamber itself was larger than any human cathedral. Its walls shimmered with bioluminescent panels that displayed the vast history of the conquered's member species. Each symbol, each light, represented a civilization older than humanity, some older than Earth itself. Lena could feel their presence, watching her, judging her, measuring humanity before she even spoke. At the far end of the hall sat the representatives of the conquered. They were unlike anything Lena had seen in her studies. Some were massive, taller than a building, their skin like polished metal. Others were tiny, translucent beings whose internal organs glowed softly in the dim light. Their eyes, some multiple, some absent entirely, seemed to pierce through her mind. The chief envoy, a crystalline entity named Raxil, raised a limb, or whatever functioned as a limb, and inclined it toward her. In human terms, it was a gesture of greeting. Lena straightened her posture, took a deep breath, and began. "Greetings," she said, her voice steady but careful. "I am Lena Morales, representative of Earth. We come in peace and with curiosity, seeking friendship and understanding with the galactic conquered." The neural interface device hummed softly. It translated her words into the conquered's multiple languages simultaneously, a dazzling display of computational precision. Lena had practiced every syllable, every pause, to ensure no error could slip through. At first, the response was silence. Lena held her breath. And then the chamber erupted, or at least she thought it did. There was a sudden flare of light from the device, a strange jitter in its output. Raxil's crystal facets shimmered more violently than before. The smaller species leaned closer to their screens, whispering in tones Lena could not understand. Something had gone wrong. "Device, status," Lena whispered to herself, her hand flying to the interface. She tapped it, recalibrated, double-checked the semantic filters. Nothing. It should have been perfect. The first reply came, but not in the way she expected. The conquered interpreted her greeting as, "We submit our unclaimed status for evaluation." Her stomach dropped. That was not what she had said. That was dangerous. The rules of first contact were precise. Every word counted. Misinterpretation was not a mistake. It was a binding legal action. According to conquered law, this phrase meant that Earth had voluntarily given up its protections, its neutrality, its first contact rights. In other words, humanity's innocence, their virginity in galactic politics, had been compromised. Lena's mind raced. She tried to correct the device, tried to speak again. "No, wait, I meant..." But the conquered did not wait. The chamber's recording systems activated automatically, logging her words as official. Her heart sank. On Earth, a command center monitored the event live. The diplomats watching from thousands of miles away gasped. Dr. Kavita Rao, head of interstellar law, froze in disbelief. They've recorded it. Earth just..." She couldn't finish the sentence. The representatives of the conquered continued to react as if she had surrendered humanity's rights willingly. There were murmurs, some of them hostile. Decisions that had taken millennia were now being applied instantly. Humanity had lost its first contact neutrality before it even fully began. Lena stumbled back from the podium, her hands trembling. Sweat slicked her forehead. She wanted to scream, to tell them all it was a mistake, that the device had failed. But she knew the laws were literal, not interpretive. In the galaxy's eyes, she had spoken exactly what they heard. And yet, as the chamber fell into a tense silence, a strange thought crossed her mind. If this could happen once, then maybe, If she tried again, if she spoke with perfect precision, humanity could recover. Maybe they could turn this disaster into a weapon. Not a weapon of war, but a weapon of logic, law, and ingenuity. The first part of her journey had ended in failure, but the spark of human determination burned brighter than ever. She would not give up. Humanity might have lost its innocence, but it would not lose its dignity. Outside the chamber, the corridors of the embassy were alive with hurried activity. Engineers rushed to fix the neural device. Legal experts debated the consequences, and Lena walked among them, feeling both small and infinite at the same time. She was just one human, but she carried the fate of an entire species. As the sun rose higher, casting streaks of light through the embassy's windows, Lena clenched her fists. The galaxy thought they had seen Earth's weakness. They had only glimpsed humanity's first mistake. And mistakes, she knew, could be corrected. But at what cost? That was the question that would haunt her as she prepared for her second chance. And the galaxy would be watching every word she said. Lena sat in the command center, staring at the holographic display before her. Her hands shook as she replayed the recording from the great chamber. Every word, every gesture, every pause analyzed and reanalyzed. And every time the result was the same. The translation device had failed. The phrase that should have meant peace and curiosity had become a legal surrender of Earth's first contact, neutrality. She pressed her temple, where the neural interface rested, as if that would somehow reset the world. Around her, the room buzzed with quiet chaos. Scientists, diplomats, and engineers were speaking in rapid tones she could barely follow. "Earth's first contact status is compromised," said Dr. Kavita Rao, her voice low but sharp. "The conquered has already recorded the declaration. Any species can now claim rights to exploit Earth's resources or territory. We have no immunity anymore." Lena swallowed hard. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest. This was not just a mistake. It was a disaster of galactic proportions. Outside the chamber, smaller species were already moving. Reports flashed across the screens. Probes entering Earth's orbit, legal filings claiming trade rights, even whispers of mining claims on uninhabited land. The galaxy was moving faster than humanity could react. "What do we do?" Lena whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Dr. Rao looked at her. "We fight this with what humans do best, intelligence, logic, and adaptability, but it's going to be a long fight, and the first step is understanding exactly what was lost." Lena closed her eyes. "We lost our innocence," she said, her voice cracked. "Our first contact innocence, humanity's virginity. We walked in thinking we were equals, and now the galaxy sees us as vulnerable, as exploitable." Her words hung in the air like a weight. Everyone in the room understood the gravity. First contact status was not just a legal concept. It was a shield. Losing it meant humanity could be treated as a species without protections, without rights. Yet Lena refused to give in to despair. If the galaxy thought they had seen Earth's weakness, they were wrong. Humanity might have stumbled, but they would rise. "We need to understand the laws," Lena said suddenly, her voice gaining strength. "Every clause, every precedent, every loophole. If one mistranslated sentence can take everything from us, then another can give it back. We can fight this, but only if we know the rules better than anyone else." Dr. Rao nodded. "Exactly, and we have the advantage. Humans are fast learners. We adapt. We think creatively. That's how we survive. That's how we've always survived. The galaxy may have recorded our mistake, but it has not yet seen our response." The next days were a whirlwind. Teams of engineers worked around the clock to rebuild the translation device, redesigning it not for convenience, but for absolute accuracy. Lawyers studied hundreds of pages of conquered law, looking for every possible opportunity to reclaim humanity's status. Historians researched past first contact records, hoping to find precedents that could protect Earth. And Lena, she became the center of it all. She reviewed every word she had said, every gesture she had made, and replayed every interaction in her mind. She could feel the weight of the entire species pressing down on her shoulders. It was terrifying, but also exhilarating. She had failed once, but now she had a chance to rise higher than ever. In quiet moments, she walked the halls of the embassy alone. The sunlight reflected off the silver floors, and she imagined herself standing in the great chamber again, speaking perfectly. She could feel the words forming in her mind, precise, unbreakable, undeniable. Humanity's voice would be heard, but this time it would carry strength, clarity, and power. Outside, the galaxy watched. Reports came in of other species taking advantage of Earth's vulnerability. One faction sent envoys claiming trade rights to Earth's asteroid belts. Another tried to establish a mining claim on uninhabited land in the outer colonies. Even distant stars seemed to whisper, Earth is weak. Now is the time. But Lena refused to see weakness. She saw opportunity. Humans were clever, adaptable, and resourceful. If the galaxy thought they could exploit humanity, they had underestimated the species entirely. At night, she would sit by her small quarters, staring at the stars. Each flicker of light reminded her of the vastness of space, of the countless civilizations that watched, listened, and waited. Humanity had made a mistake, but they were far from finished. And then the idea came to her. If the Concord's laws were literal, if every word was binding, then perhaps the solution was not to apologize or negotiate. Perhaps the solution was to speak in a way that was undeniable, unchangeable, and entirely in humanity's favor. She began to draft speeches, not just in English, but in the alien tongues she had studied. She calculated every possible misinterpretation. She ran simulations with the device, testing each phrase, each gesture, each inflection. Days turned into nights. Nights turned into days. The embassy became a hive of activity. Engineers designed redundancies, legal teams drafted defenses, and Lena became both the student and teacher of interstellar diplomacy. Every mistake she had made the first time became a lesson for the next. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the device was ready. The legal team had prepared every argument. Humanity had compiled every precedent, every clause, every logical framework to support their claims. And Lena was ready to speak. But she knew the danger remained. One wrong word, one mistranslation, and humanity's hard work would crumble. She could feel the weight of billions of lives on her shoulders. She could feel the eyes of the galaxy watching her. Yet fear was not the answer. Courage was, determination was. Humanity had faced extinction, war, and disaster before, and they had survived. This was no different. As she stepped back into the great chamber, she took a deep breath. The chamber was quiet now, the initial chaos fading into tense anticipation. The Concord representatives watched her with curiosity, some even suspicion. They had recorded her mistake, yes, but they did not yet know what humanity was truly capable of. Lena straightened her shoulders. She spoke softly at first, testing the device, testing herself. "I am Lena Morales," she began, "and I speak for the people of Earth." The neural interface hummed. This time the words were flawless. Every syllable, every pause, perfectly calibrated. The Concord listened. And for the first time, humanity's voice was clear, strong, and undeniable. The chamber remained silent. But Lena knew something had changed. The galaxy had seen the human spark, intelligence, determination, and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. Humanity had stumbled, yes, but they were rising, and the first sentence of humanity's comeback had been spoken. The embassy was no longer a quiet building of anticipation. It had become a hive of human determination, buzzing with the energy of people who refused to give up. Engineers tapped rapidly on keyboards, their screens glowing with streams of alien code. Lawyers crowded around holographic displays, debating the minutiae of laws older than humanity itself. Historians scoured records of other species, first contacts, searching for any precedent that could save their world. And Lena Morales walked among them, the weight of humanity pressing on her shoulders, but now not as a burden but as a challenge. Her mind replayed the events of the Great Chamber again and again. The phrase had been mistranslated, yes, but that alone did not destroy humanity. The Concord's law was literal, yes, but also structured and precise. Lena realized that the same literalness that had trapped them could become their tool. If one sentence could make humanity vulnerable, then another, carefully constructed, perfectly translated, could reclaim their rights. She called an emergency meeting with the top legal minds of Earth. The conference room was crowded, the air tense. Every human present knew that failure was not an option. Dr. Kavita Rao addressed the group. "We have one advantage. The Concord's laws are rigid. They take every word seriously, literally. We have seen how one mistake changed everything. That same rigidity can protect us if we use it correctly." A senior lawyer, Malik, leaned forward, eyes bright. "We need to study every past first contact, any precedent, any loophole. If another species has misspoken or been misrepresented, we can cite that. Humanity's mistake will be countered by legal clarity. Lena nodded. And we will, but that is only part of the solution. Words alone are not enough. The device cannot fail again. Every phrase must be flawless, every gesture precise, every tone exact. We must make our first true sentence, our real declaration, unbreakable. For days, the embassy worked like a machine. The translation device was dismantled, rebuilt, tested, and rebuilt again. Engineers designed multiple backup systems, redundant translation channels, and cross-referenced every known conquered language. Every simulation was run 100 times to ensure no single error could slip through. Each night, Lena would sit alone, reviewing every potential phrase, memorizing the rhythm, intonation, and syntax. She began to think in the languages of other species, imagining herself speaking their words as naturally as she spoke English. Yet it was not just technology. Humanity's lawyers worked tirelessly, constructing a web of legal arguments that could withstand scrutiny from the most literal-minded species. They drafted clauses, cited historical precedents, and proposed logical frameworks that would turn a potential weakness into strength. Each argument was tested, debated, refined, and tested again. But amidst the work, Lena struggled. The weight of responsibility was heavy. Every failure she had made haunted her. The mistranslation, the panic, the reports of other species moving to exploit Earth. Could she truly fix what she had broken? Could she reclaim humanity's first contact innocence, or had that been lost forever? One evening, as Lena walked along the embassy's observation deck, staring at the stars, she felt a moment of doubt. The universe was vast. Billions of civilizations watched, listened, and judged. Humanity was small, young, inexperienced. The first mistake had been catastrophic. What if another mistake came? What if the galaxy had already decided that humans were weak? Then she remembered why humanity survived in the first place: adaptability. Humans had walked on continents that could swallow them, crossed oceans that could drown them, survived diseases that could kill millions, and risen again after wars that seemed to destroy everything. Failure was not the end, it was the beginning of learning, of adaptation, of improvement. Her resolve hardened. Humanity had lost its innocence, yes, but that loss was not permanent. It was a challenge, a call to rise, and rise they would. She returned to the command center, eyes sharp, mind focused. "We will prepare the declaration," she said firmly. "Not as naive diplomats, but as humans who have studied, learned, and adapted. We will speak with clarity, logic, and authority. The galaxy will see that Earth is not a mistake waiting to happen. It is a species capable of survival, precision, and ingenuity." Dr. Rao smiled faintly. "That's the spirit. Humanity has stumbled, but we have the tools to recover. And more than that, we have determination." Weeks passed. The embassy became a hive of tireless work. Engineers tested the device at every hour. Lawyers ran simulations of every potential challenge the conquered could present. Lena memorized and rehearsed hundreds of phrases, each one designed to reclaim humanity's rights, protect its sovereignty, and establish their place in the galaxy. Even small details, such as gestures, posture, and eye contact, were perfected to convey the exact meaning intended. And then came the first real breakthrough. One of the historians found a forgotten precedent, a species that had accidentally misrepresented themselves in a first contact declaration centuries earlier. The conquered had corrected the record after careful legal review. This was proof the literalness of the law could work both ways. If Earth could present their argument clearly and accurately, the galaxy had no choice but to recognize it. Lena's confidence grew. The plan was taking shape. Humanity would not plead or apologize. They would present facts, logic, and evidence. Their words would be precise, their device flawless, and they would reclaim what was theirs: dignity, respect, and first contact rights. But the galaxy would not wait idly. News of humanity's vulnerability had spread. Minor factions were probing Earth's borders. Trade requests were filed, sometimes preemptively claiming rights to resources humans had only just discovered. The situation was tense, and Lena knew that any delay could worsen it. Speed, precision, and clarity were essential. At night, as Lena rested briefly in her quarters, she imagined standing once more in the great chamber. She saw the crystalline Raxil watching her, the translucent, smaller beings observing every gesture. And she imagined herself speaking, every word deliberate, unbreakable, undeniable. This was not just a speech. It was a test of humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and courage. and she would not fail. The days of preparation culminated in a final simulation. The device hummed quietly, translating her words into multiple languages simultaneously. Lawyers scrutinized every line of dialogue. Engineers monitored every neural pulse, ensuring that no miscalculation could occur. And Lena, standing at the center of it all, took a deep breath. She was ready. The weight of billions of lives rested on her shoulders. The galaxy had seen humanity's first mistake. Now it would witness the species' true strength. Humanity had lost its innocence, yes, but from that loss they had forged something stronger: resolve, determination, intelligence, ingenuity. The first step had been taken. The mistake had been analyzed, understood, and transformed into a lesson. And humanity was ready for the next step, reclaiming their voice, their rights, and their place among the stars. As she prepared to return to the great chamber, Lena's mind was clear, her focus sharp. She knew the danger remained, but so did the potential. Humanity had been knocked down, but they had not been defeated. The galaxy had underestimated them once. It would not underestimate them again. The great chamber was silent. It was the same room where Lena Morales had first spoken, where the mistranslation had cost humanity its innocence, its first contact protections. But this time the air was different. There was tension, yes, but also a sense of purpose. Humanity was no longer naive. Humanity had learned. Lena stood at the podium, her posture straight, her mind clear. The neural interface device hummed softly against her temple, a product of weeks of careful redesign. Engineers had tested it 1,000 times. Every word, every pause, every gesture had been simulated and perfected. Around her, members of Earth's delegation waited. Lawyers with holographic tablets, historians with records of ancient interstellar law, diplomats who had trained for every possible reaction. They were ready. Humanity was ready. Across the chamber, the conquered representatives watched. Some crystal entities tilted, refracting light in ways that might have been amusement or perhaps doubt. Smaller, translucent beings leaned forward, their glowing organs pulsing faintly. And at the center, the crystalline Raxil regarded Lena with calm curiosity, its facets reflecting light like 1,000 tiny stars. This time, Lena spoke slowly, deliberately. Her voice carried across the chamber, clear, precise, unwavering. "I am Lena Morales, representative of Earth. I speak for the people of our planet." The device translated her words flawlessly, projecting them into multiple conquered languages simultaneously. Lena had memorized every gesture, every micro-expression. She was no longer just a speaker. She was a human carefully demonstrating logic, confidence, and clarity to billions of eyes. The first response was a murmur from the smaller species, their translations flickering on the holographic displays. Lena ignored it. She had prepared for everything. "We acknowledge that a previous statement was mistranslated, resulting in a declaration that misrepresented Earth's intentions and status. That declaration, while recorded, was made under technological error. We request that the record be corrected according to the facts presented today." The chamber hummed. A correction? The conquered rarely altered official records, but Lena did not stop. Humanity is a young, intelligent species. We are capable of understanding the laws of the conquered, adapting to them, and engaging in fair, precise diplomacy. We present evidence, precedents, and logical arguments to demonstrate that our first contact innocence was never voluntarily surrendered. The mistranslation alone should not dictate humanity's rights. She paused. Every eye in the chamber was on her, every lens, every sensor, every mind. "And furthermore," Lena continued, "we request that humanity's rights, sovereignty, and first contact protections be recognized, retroactive to the time of the mistranslation. Any attempt to exploit Earth based on that error is null and without effect." The device confirmed the translation, perfect, for a long moment silence. Then the responses came, measured, analytical, careful. One of the smaller species spoke first, their words translated with a faint shimmer. "Humanity presents a logical argument. Evidence supports their claim. The device error is acknowledged." The chamber reacted like a wave passing through water. Some species nodded, their gestures signaling approval. Others leaned back, analyzing every phrase. And Raxil, the crystalline envoy, tilted its facets thoughtfully. Lena did not falter. She continued, presenting historical precedents, referencing past first contact cases, highlighting logical inconsistencies in any claim against Earth. Her voice was steady, her gestures precise. Every word was backed by evidence. Every argument was deliberate. She could feel the weight of the galaxy pressing on her, but she also felt the spark that made humans unique: adaptability, creativity, and determination. They had stumbled, yes, but they were learning, and learning was power. Hours passed. The conquered representatives debated quietly among themselves. Holographic displays flickered, showing laws, precedents, and translations. Lena waited, standing tall, silent when required, speaking when necessary. Humanity's case was airtight, flawless, indisputable. Then came the turning point. Raxil's facets shifted, reflecting a bright light. Its voice resonated through the chamber, deep and deliberate. Earth has presented evidence, logic, and intent that corrects the previous misrepresentation. Humanity's first contact protections are restored. Any prior declaration resulting from technological error is null. Humanity may proceed as an equal member among the conquered, with rights recognized retroactively. A wave of relief passed through the Earth delegation. Engineers whispered quietly to one another, lawyers exchanged nods, and historians allowed themselves faint smiles. Lena, however, remained calm. There was still one more step. She continued. Humanity seeks not only protection but mutual understanding. We wish to contribute to the conquered, to share knowledge, culture, and cooperation. We are young, yes, but we are capable, resilient, and determined. Let this moment mark the beginning of a partnership, not exploitation. The chamber remained quiet, and then, slowly, the responses shifted from legal acknowledgement to curiosity. Smaller species approached the holographic displays to examine Earth's evidence. The larger crystalline entities leaned closer, analyzing data. The galaxy, for the first time, looked at humanity not as weak, not as naive, but as capable. Lena realized something profound in that moment. Humanity had not regained innocence. It had evolved. The mistranslation had cost them naive trust, but it had forged resolve, clarity, and ingenuity, and that was far more powerful than innocence. Outside the chamber, news systems across the conquered lit up. Other species received alerts. Earth's first contact protections were restored. Attempts to exploit them were void. Humanity's reputation was changing, shifting from vulnerable to formidable. Back in the chamber, Lena concluded her address. We have learned, we have adapted, and we are prepared. Let this serve as a reminder: humanity is not easily misrepresented. We are vigilant, we are precise, and we are capable of defending ourselves, not with force, but with intelligence and understanding. The chamber was silent again, but this time it was the silence of acknowledgement, of respect. Lena stepped down from the podium. Engineers rushed to her side to check the device. Lawyers whispered congratulations, and historians nodded quietly. Humanity had succeeded, not because the conquered relented, but because they had presented clarity, evidence, and intelligence in a way that could not be denied. And Lena, standing among her team, allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had lost its first contact innocence, yes, but they had gained something far more powerful: a reputation for resilience, intelligence, and precision. The galaxy had underestimated them once. It would not underestimate them again. For the first time, humanity could hold its head high, not as a naive newcomer, but as a species capable of navigating the stars with clarity, ingenuity, and determination. And Lena knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had faced its greatest test and had passed, but the galaxy was vast and countless challenges awaited. The lesson was clear: mistakes could destroy, but they could also teach. And humanity, as it always had, would learn, adapt, and rise stronger than before.